Hey guys, welcome to another video from Just Two Dudes. You know who we are by now, but my name's Louie.
My name's Seth.
Alright, so the Texas A&M game. Rumor has it that there was a football game played the other night.
What?
All I saw myself was a bunch of bullshit. Now, I gotta start this off by saying I'm gonna disagree with most Husker fans. You guys always know I do, okay? We had 16 penalties called on us, and I pretty much agree with every single one of them. Now, twice Eric Martin got called for penalties on kickoffs. And you know what? I'm just going to assume that he was guilty.
Well, here's my thing. I also think it has a little something to do with the Big 12 after his...
That's too easy. We're not going right to the Big 12
No,
yet.
I'm just saying, the fact he was suspended for a hit, refs really have their eye on him to make sure he doesn't do anything.
That's an insignificant point because at this point the ref has their eye on everyone with an N on the side of their helmet.
Well, that's true.
Not just Eric Martin.
Well, he really sticks out.
But we will say this. The biggest penalty that they fucked up on was the Osborne hit
that cost
on the
us
quarterback
the game.
at the end of the game.
Yeah.
That was not a penalty. There's no way, not even I, who hates cheap shots and hates late hits on the quarterbacks, not even I could see anything remotely wrong with that. The helmet wasn't lowered. There was no crown of the helmet. There was nothing.
Tannehill threw the ball. You get 2 steps. Then, as long as it's not malicious,
right there.
2 steps and like a push is the general rule. But as soon as he's right here, Courtney Osborne is already halfway through his tackling motion. Then he lets it go and is almost hit immediately. There's a reason Tannehill threw that ball 15 yards out of bounds. Right. It's because he had to throw it away. Because there was nothing late there. There was nothing malicious or to the helmet.
Okay, so 15 penalties that just kept stalling us and screwing us and giving them yards. 15 penalties, I pretty much agree with all of them.
I'd say at least 75–80% of the penalties against us, we committed ourselves. Yeah,
but the problem is if they see a penalty, they need to call it. But where I have a problem is in a game where they're going to call 16 penalties on one team, that means the officials are watching things closely. They're not going to allow holding, false starts. They're not going to allow offsides. They're not going to allow pass interference. They're not going to allow anything. So you mean to tell me in a game like that Texas A&M only committed 2 penalties? Well, I'm sorry, Nebraska fans. What you have to do is you have to own the fact that your team did commit all those penalties. You have to own that. Because every one of those calls I agree with, except for the Osborne call that ended up costing us the game. But can you, I mean, we know that there wasn't 2 freaking penalties on Texas A&M.
I saw numerous times. Our D linemen are trying to break through. Here's their face mask getting grabbed or ripped. And they're getting pushed up, they're getting held constantly, which that's happened since last year.
You can't throw the ball that many times, and you can't run wide that many times like Texas A&M did without holding one time. I got some numbers for you guys, and this is right out of the paper today. So far in the Big 12, Nebraska's been called for 57 penalties, and our opponents have been called for 29. Our last 3 games, we've been called for 28 penalties. Our opponents have been called for 6.
And here's the thing. Between
Texas and Texas A&M, keep in mind the exact same crew officiated both of those games. The penalties are 26-6. Now, I don't possibly know how you can carry out a conspiracy against one team without everybody else knowing it.
They're doing it.
But at this point in time, there has to be something going on. Because, and it's not just penalties, guys. It's stuff like instant replays that they choose to review. It's the fact that the A&M guy on that second interception was not in bounds.
No, he was not.
I mean, and they don't reverse it. I know that's tricky. Okay, the first pick, and I know that's tricky to reverse. But you also have stuff like the Ben Cotton play, which we've seen on YouTube. And basically why Ben Cotton kicked that guy is that guy was pinching on his legs, grabbing his nuts, trying to do everything he can do.
Oh, somebody does that to me, I'm going to kick him too.
And all I got to say is good for the Texas A&M guy. Because when this moron here was playing high school football, look at him laughing already. If you got a pile with him, your nuts were getting wrenched. He'd go for your eyeballs. That is a ball. You give up everything you got to get that ball. So good for the Texas A&M guy. But Ben Cotton, why you got to be a bitch and kick him like that? What, did you think the ref standing right over you wasn't going to see it? And then you compound it with another penalty?
Yeah.
No freaking discipline, no focus. Where does that come from?
Comes from Bo Pelini being a complete lunatic on the sideline.
If your coach isn't focused and disciplined, the players won't be focused and disciplined. This is exactly like the Virginia Tech game his first year when the whole squad lost their temper. You know, it's the exact same thing.
Here's one more thing too. Talking about penalties, it's not just that they're calling us for a lot of penalties. It's, if you look at the average yards per penalty for against us and against our opponents in the Big 12, and especially the Texas and A&M game, it is ridiculous.
In the Big 12, the penalty yards, for penalty yards, it's 503 for us, 266 our opponents. Our last 3 games, we've got 253 yards to 59 for our opponents.
They call the other team.
I don't have the A&M and Texas penalty yards.
They call the other team for false start, offsides. Yep. There's never personal foul, unnecessary roughness, or anything like that. There's nothing like that. It's always little. You know, just, here's 5 yards.
And the thing that upsets me is, Bobo, what happened to we don't point the finger, we point the thumb? That's all you were doing the other night is you were pointing the finger. You lost your cool. He lost control of the team. Well, the team had no guidance. They're out there with a quarterback who should have never even been back out on the field.
And here's the thing with Bo.
Hold on. Your quarterback guides you. When your quarterback's not there to do it, your coach has to do it. And Bo was so wrapped up in the officiating, which I get. But he's also getting paid $2 million a year to keep his cool.
And here's one thing. You could see as this year has progressed, Bo, when it comes to the officiating, he's got a little more hot every single game. And for some reason right now, I can't remember which game it was, but he was talking, I think it was Iowa State, when Rex Burkhead was sitting there and he's getting held up and he was allowed to get stripped, and they just let the other team keep going. But the very last week against Missouri, there's an obvious sack, forced fumble, and a defensive touchdown we had, but before the quarterback even hits the ground, they're blowing the whistle. And I know that's the quarterback, but still, that's just alarming. And you can see all this stuff.
And you guys know it because you guys watch the games too. You know Nebraska's getting screwed.
Yes.
You know from the replays they decide to replay, from the penalties that are getting called. But the bigger issue is how is this happening? I mean, did BB really honestly tell the head of Big 12 officiating, hey, whatever you do, don't let Nebraska beat a Texas school?
I really don't know, because it really seems like in the other games, I'd say penalties haven't been drastically against us. You know, there has been some, like the Missouri game.
Well, they have been, but we've won those games.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They haven't really took us out of a chance to win.
Right.
But this game they did.
Oh, the Texas game, the refs had nothing to do with the outcome of that game.
I know, that's why I said this game.
Played by Big Red.
That was just dropped.
But the officials have been trying all year to fuck us out of a game, and they finally got one. You know, they finally did us in.
All year I was waiting for Niles Paul to cost us a game, but the refs cost us a game.
The refs finally got us. Yeah. And it's fascinating that, like, the powers that be, whether it's Osborne, whether it's Perlman, whether it's Jeff Jamrock, whoever it is, you know, it's almost like it's time to call the FBI. It's time to bring in some detectives or something like this. You know, I know that the Big 12 is pissed at us for leaving. I understand anytime. That's just like how us fans get.
We're a great team.
That's just how us fans get when one of our recruits commits to us and decides to leave. We kind of get a little, we get pissed off about that. So I understand. Excuse me. I understand the Big 12 is mad at us for leaving because we're breaking up for them what is a pretty good thing. even though it's not in our best interest. But to actually be able to plan and execute a formula to screw a team.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, you have to see that's what's going on here. Now, the other night, whatever you do, Husker fans, don't get it twisted. We committed those penalties. Yeah. And it is disgusting to commit that many penalties in a game.
And it's not like it's the first time under Bo Pelini we've done it.
But in order to get 16 penalties called against you, the refs have to be watching things very closely.
It should at least be 16.
16 to 10, 16 to 11. But 16 to 2,
whoo, that's 2 touchdowns, folks. That's 14.
That's atrocious.
Yeah.
And, you know, at this point in the season, guys, what looked to be a lock, this is so important with Taylor Martinez being hurt, because now the Colorado game's a toss-up without Taylor Martinez. Unless Zach Lee somehow gets healthy, the Colorado game's a toss-up.
It really is,
and I
which
tell you
is
what,
sad.
If we end up beating Colorado and we have to play Oklahoma State or Oklahoma without Taylor Martinez,
oh my
that's
God.
A blowout.
Yeah.
Okie State's winning 45-17. Oklahoma doesn't have the firepower this year, but they'll win like 31-10 against us without Martinez.
We need, absolutely.
I mean, if Zach Lee's in there, Okie State probably can get us. If Zach Lee's in there, maybe the team remembers that Zach Lee led them to a victory last year against Oklahoma. So, you know, maybe they might have a little trust in him.
Yeah, but well, I think they have more trust in him because, you know, for the most part, you know, he wasn't the greatest quarterback in the world last year, but he did produce a very good season.
So we're looking at squeaking by Colorado and being 10-2, and getting our asses romped in the Big 12 championship. Then Martinez gets a month to heal up, and we roll in a bowl game. You know, if that happens, we're 11-3. We win a decent bowl game.
Me and you said at the beginning of the year to evaluate this team. Yes, there's all the Big 12 championship, and that is the goal. The Big 12 championship is the goal. But me and you always thought 11 wins was the goal for this team.
And how are we supposed to know our starting quarterback would get injured?
Right.
I mean, you know, Taylor Martinez is 100% healthy. We beat A&M. We roll Colorado.
Yeah.
We go into the Big 12 championship game very confident.
We have a legitimate shot at a 13-1 season.
Yeah.
He's that special.
Okay, so yesterday we keep talking about Taylor Martinez. A lot of action started swirling around Lincoln here about the fact that Taylor Martinez had quit the team. Kind of don't know where that even started, but probably around 8 or 9 o'clock
last night, Sean Callahan called Taylor Martinez's high school coach and asked if he had heard anything, and the coach said he had talked to Taylor and that Taylor has not quit the team, doesn't know where it's coming from.
Right.
It's just rumors. Now keep in mind, now that's just one source. Who knows what else is going on inside the program and all that. But I
have a young friend that I work with, and she actually sent me a text because she heard that he quit, and I said, "Oh, stop it, knock it off." She goes, "No, really, I'm getting it from all my friends."
Yeah.
And I didn't think much of it, and then I got a call from my cousin in Pawnee City, and he's like, "Did you hear Taylor Martinez rumors? Did you hear the Martinez rumors?" And I said, "Gosh, yeah, I have." And then one of my sisters calls me, so then I'm starting to think, what the hell?
Yeah, we're looking on ESPN, we're scanning through all the different websites, you know.
We couldn't find anything, but...
And the other thing is Bo Pelini possibly getting fired. That was the other big rumor.
Yeah, well, I paid no attention to that. Bo's not going anywhere.
Right.
He's going to get a talking to, which he should. Believe me, Bo Pelini, nobody knows more about being a freaking hothead more than me. I mean, I go off like nobody's business, but I'm not getting paid $2 million a year, and I don't have 100 kids that need to follow my lead.
What? You gotta go.
We gotta go, people. Bye.